Have you ever wanted to be the best version of yourself?
Yes.
Achieve more success?
Yes.
Sell with more confidence?
Yes.
If you answered yes, then you're in the right place. Amy Lemire is in the business of creating breakthroughs in sales, confidence, influence, and revenue growth without sacrificing work-life balance. She's the creator of the Sales Confidence Code and the author of From Zero to Sales Hero, How to Double Your Sales and Income in Less Than 90 Days. Amy's worked with large companies like Cardinal Health, Care Fusion, ICU Medical, Massage Envy, and others in the medical space. She's a distinguished Toastmaster, president of National Speakers Association of St. Louis, a member of the National Speakers Association, and has been recognized by Fortune as a Fortune 500 top sales performer and sales trainer in the medical technology sector for over 2 decades. She's trained thousands of sales and business influencers in the keys to sales success and the Sales Confidence Code, selling with influence that drives peak performance results through mastering the 6 thought habits. Please welcome Amy Lemire to our beautiful stage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here and for taking this time to invest in yourself. I want you to know I honor you for that because that's a habit I put into my life over 30 years ago. It's no secret. You all could be taking client calls right now, handling customer issues, but instead you are here, and I honor you for that. Out of curiosity, how many of you were voluntold to be here by the Vice President of Sales today? Okay, thank you. And how many of you are entrepreneurs that wanted to come and understand more about selling so your businesses could be more successful? Thank you. What I'd like to do today is I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story because I know some of you that were voluntold to be here might not know who I am. But I also want to reveal to you something that I created called the Sales Confidence Code and how you can apply this to your business to have immediate results in your sales today. It all made sense. Work hard, achieve success. How many of you have heard that before? But if that is the right answer, then how come 80% of us stay in jobs that we don't enjoy for the healthcare benefits? Why is it that a year ago, there were 3% job openings in the United States, but today it's risen to 31%? What the reasons are behind that, in case you're wondering, according to Gartner, it's for 2 big reasons. Number 1, we're burned out. Our work has become our home, and our home has become our work. But the other part of that is a lot of people say that the people they work for don't invest in their skills and their self-development. And I found out that truth the hard way back in 2012. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. You see, at that point, I had already been in sales for over 20 years, but I had hit the big time. I finally got a position in medical sales, which is what I had dreamed of. And I had just had the best year of my life. I got to stand on stage at the national sales meeting. I got promoted to be a sales field trainer. I was getting emails from my boss and the vice president of sales. I mean, things just couldn't get any better. And then came the next year. Let's just say the next year started off a little bit slower than the year before. And I remember saying, I sold everything last year. It's normal for it to be slow. It's no big deal. I'm not going to worry about it. Then came second quarter, and I began to get nervous. Those congratulatory emails turned into, when are you going to start selling something, from my boss? But that wasn't the worst moment. The worst moment came when I was getting ready to go on my sales calls one day, and I opened up my laptop. And there it was, the PIP, the Performance Improvement Plan, meaning if you don't turn around your sales results in 30 days, you will be terminated from your position at this company. Terminated, I thought to myself, right? I mean, here I've been, this sales rock star, and she's going to terminate me after 10 years on the sales team. I mean, it was unbelievable. I was so angry that I got this email. But that anger started turning into fear. I began to think to myself, oh my God, what if I get fired from my sales job? I mean, my mom had a career in sales. My dad was in sales, and then he moved on to have his own business. What are my friends going to think of me? My peers, my customers, what am I going to tell them? I remember that afternoon I came home from my sales appointments and I sat on my front porch and I looked into the distance. And I knew I had a decision to make. I could either quit my job right now, or maybe I could try to turn this thing around somehow. Now, I knew no one's going to hire a salesperson that's at less than 20% of their sales quota halfway through the year, so I decided to take the second option. I decided to turn it around. And I made a decision that to this day is one of the best decisions I could have made in my entire life. I hired a sales coach. Now, Mike began to work with me, and I said, Mike, I will do anything you tell me, I promise. He said, okay, great, let's start working together. What I'm going to share with you that happened over those next 30 days was the evolution of the sales confidence code. The first thing that happened is I stopped focusing on failure. Now, when I was focusing on failure and worrying about everything that was going to go wrong, I remember feeling that it was this constant abyss, and I constantly felt that victim coming up within me. So what I did instead is I focused on the first principle, and that was self, my self-confidence. I began to stop being a victim because one thing I haven't shared about my story is that victimhood can often come from things that happen in our life. Having almost been killed by a drunk driver when I was 9 years old, I had this habit of feeling sorry for myself and being sad anytime things didn't go right. So I stopped that. And the next thing that happened is I began to focus on something called connecting with people. Now, I think the reason salespeople get such a bad rap is because what do we talk about? We talk about our products. We talk about what we're selling, our services, but there's one thing we often forget about, and what do you think it is? Connecting with people. And I remember one morning I was sitting in the hospital cafeteria where I spent so much of my time, and I was drinking my Diet Coke, and I remember there was a man I had to call on. And have you ever had those really tough customers that you just really don't want to talk to?
Yes.
That was John, and his last name was Cashmore. I kid you not. And I knew I needed to talk to him to get this one order so that I didn't get fired in 30 days. And he stood over there, and I'm like, what am I going to say to him? And I remember as he stood up, I just thought, I'm going to come from a place of service and kindness that I want to help and serve him in his hospital. And he walked over to me, and we had a conversation. And he said, oh, by the way, Amy, I have that $700,000 purchase order in my office if you want to stop by and pick it up. So just from connecting with somebody and coming from a place of love and intrinsic validation, it made a big difference. The last thing that I want to share with you of the sales confidence code is this, and it's dream creation. How many of you have dreams? You see, one of the things that I forgot about during that time is I forgot about making dreams reality. A fantasy is a dream with no action. I'd gotten lazy. When I sent Mike my calendar, it was embarrassing. You see, you can't sell something if you don't have appointments on your calendar. Have you ever, it just doesn't work that way, and that's the habit I built. But one thing I'd forgotten to do is I'd forgotten to take the first step. And that first step was I'm going to make 50 cold calls a week no matter what. I don't care if I'm sitting at McDonald's in Central Illinois, but I'm going to make those calls, and I did it. Now, my story ends at those 30 days, and I will share this. I was able to stand on stage at the national sales meeting again. I made 128% of my sales quota. But that's not the important part of my story. The important part of my story is that I saw a new mission and a new vision for myself. I decided it was time to serve others and to train them to be better sales professionals. And 1 year later to that date, I left sales for good, and I moved into sales training. So remember, in closing, sometimes your messes can become your message. And before we go into our workshop this weekend, remember that being the best version of yourself is a choice. And remember that sales is just about serving people, and sales can also be a lot of fun when you're winning. Thank you.